The secret to understanding Leviticus is actually in the book of Exodus. Exodus left us on a cliffhanger. After giving us 13 chapters on the tabernacle, got the instructions in 25 to 31, and then building the tabernacle in 35 to 39, it is finally completed in Exodus chapter 40. And what happens next? We see here in Exodus 40, the tabernacle is erected. The Lord speaks to Moses saying, "Erect the tabernacle." And Moses obeys. Jump down to verse 33. Moses finished the work. He finished building the tabernacle. And what happens next? Then the cloud, it says, the cloud covered the tent of meeting and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. This is good news. But then verse 35, Moses was not able to enter the tent of meeting because the cloud had settled on it and the glory of the Lord had filled the tabernacle. Moses was not able to enter. Why? But it gets even worse. You see, Moses was already inside of the tent of meeting, or an earlier version of the tent of meeting, way back in chapter 33. Remember that? Chapter 33. Now, Moses used to take a tent and pitch it outside of the camp. And in verse 9, Moses entered into that tent. And the pillar of cloud would descend upon it, and Yahweh would speak with Moses. It even says that Yahweh spoke with him face to face, just like he did on the top of Mount Sinai. Why then, in chapter 40, can Moses not enter into the tent of meeting? All right, this takes us from Exodus to Leviticus and Numbers, and a subtle detail you might have missed, which unlocks the book of Leviticus. Take a look at this. All right, so we have Leviticus here on the left and Numbers on the right. And how does the book of Leviticus open? Look at this, Leviticus 1:1. And Yahweh called Moses and spoke to him from the tent of meeting. Is Moses inside of the tabernacle? No. But look at the book of Numbers. Numbers 1:1, the Lord spoke to Moses in the wilderness of Sinai in the tent of meeting. Moses got inside. All right, here, check it out. I've got it all mapped out for you. By the way, my name is David, and I'm a missionary and Bible teacher in the Philippines, and I've developed hundreds of teaching resources like this. And if you want to download this one for free, go ahead and check out the description below. All right, let's figure this thing out together. So here at the end of the book of Exodus, in chapter 40, it says, on the first day of the first month, Moses, after the tabernacle was erected, was not able to get inside. Here at the beginning of Leviticus, Yahweh had to speak to Moses from the tent of meeting. But at the beginning of Numbers 1:1, on the first day of the second month, Yahweh spoke to Moses in the tent of meeting. Moses, he was able to get inside of the tabernacle. Hey, if you like this chart, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe as well so you don't miss next week's free chart. All right, back to the tabernacle. The problem was solved. Moses was able to get inside the tabernacle. But how? Well, I got a question for you. What is in between Leviticus 1:1 and Numbers 1:1? Well, it's the whole book of Leviticus. Leviticus, it solves the problem of how a holy God can live in the midst of a sinful people. I mean, think about it. Israel just had its fall moment in the wilderness. Now, when was that? Exodus 32, the golden calf. God, he was about ready just to walk away from his people and start over with Moses. You remember that in Exodus 32? And now even Moses can't get into God's presence. And then in comes Leviticus, where God teaches Moses, if I'm going to put my house in the middle of your camp, I'm going to need to set some ground rules. Okay, here is a pretty chaotic diagram I've developed on the book of Leviticus. As a biblical studies professor, I've developed courses on entire books of the Bible, and you can check out one of them for free, linked in the description below. Okay, how then does the book of Leviticus solve the problem of God only speaking to Moses from the tent of meeting instead of in the tent of meeting? Well, Leviticus is going to set up a system of ritual sacrifices and ritual feasts, which is mediated by a ordained and qualified priesthood, which ensures the maintenance of ritual and moral purity and performs the annual Day of Atonement. Do you see this pattern? How the beginning of the book of Leviticus, ritual sacrifices match the end, ritual feasts. And then in 8 to 10, the priest's ordination is going to match the priest's qualification in 21 to 22. This pattern is called a chiasm. And if you'd like to learn a little bit more about biblical chiasms, you should check out this next video.